I got 2 chapters to read. So the gift the gods await throughout the course of your journey with throughout the course of our journey with you, we have made mention time and again of the ambiguous group of beings called the ancestors, who, as you have learned, exist in all directions, through all time, through the bloodline, and through dimensions as well. Your ancestral lineage is not only comprised of predecessors, you also burst outwards like a sun with many rays touching multiple realities. This is part of the expansion of consciousness. You are now experiencing the spirit world is vast, and untold numbers of beings can approach you through the invisible domains. In the Piscean age, the spirit world was thought to be invisible, which does not mean it was non-existent, for your ancestors all experienced this force, although each perhaps in a different way. Now, without miracles, mysteries, and secrets, focus on the electromagnetic spectrum. Your interpretation of light frequencies. Imagine yourself right now expanding and shifting along its entire spectrum as your ancestors did, jumping from one point to another. The expansion of consciousness you seek calls you to shift to a frequency similar to the mysterious beings of the invisible world. Perhaps when you learn where certain beings are located on the frequency band and you can dial them up, then you will rename and readdress the whole idea of religion on your planet. And I said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to get rid of all this crap. We're going to come up with new names of everything. And we're going to change everything. We're going to know the truth. Your ancestors were not always able to express in words their experience of jumping from 3D perspectives into other frequencies, then returning, or that entities from other parts of the spectrum could jump into their reality. It happened both ways. Old manuscripts, certainly the books you call the Bible and various disputed texts, never shown to the public, hold mysterious references and enigma or enigmatic intervention from the time long past of events that are inexplicable from your current worldview. Though speculated about for eons, the events were not directly experienced by your historians. Therefore, those who charted the history began to create their own interpretations in order to understand the invisible world of spirit. You are now challenged to look at your founding philosophies and educational belief systems, and to generously consider the interpreter of these experiences did their very best. However, on one level, a world management team now controls the flow of information to your world. So if you really want to know the truth, you must dig deeper and move around politically correct belief systems. Question your own trust in the institutions of so-called higher knowledge. Religions have always tempted to control people by explaining the inexplicable to the masses. As we look at the Book of Earth, we see that you have needed this assurance. You like mentors and teachers, someone to take you under their wing, whom you can turn to in your innocence, inquiring about the higher mind and spirit, the great mysteries, and what the impeccable walkers of the spirit world understood. Actually, you are gifted with a mentor. As you ask you once again, we ask you once again to consider the fiduciary, the one who will serve your interests and show you the way, the one you can trust. As you expand your perceptions beyond the flat world consciousness, you will have to reconsider all your beliefs, and even those of you who have already reconsidered so much of reality. You too will be asked to go further. You are all called now into the home of spirit, the house where mysteries reside and are held in trust as part of your great inheritance. You will soon discover that this invisible realm is indeed visible. As you experience your lessons in living, trust that events you would not ordinarily book for yourself are written in for you by the fiduciary, sometimes taking you through the times of sudden, shocking, and surprising changes to face what you would seemingly never choose. Based on greater understandings of the purpose of living, you will now realize that you do choose what you encounter in order to find new ways of being. To have journeyed this far with us, you must consider yourself a pioneer, even though there are billions of gods now awakening process happens to a few. And then, like the sun rays spreading over the earth, the energy imbues everyone. It is time to climb upwards now, to head towards the peak of your own existence, where you already know that your destiny is live, experience, and discover the Spirit has not forgotten you. Life is significant if you would just notice a massively alive intelligence surrounds you in the ether and encouraging you to go further and further on this journey. Once you have acknowledged the swampland of the difficulties and face fear, a very high peak appears in the distance, a majestic mountain beckoning you forwards. If you wonder how you will ever reach this exalted peak, it will be with one step at a time. You have traversed the swamplands and discovered the dark territories that held what you feared and thought you could not face. And by now you have ideally found that it was not so terrible. The lesson in traveling through the dark land is that the light of faith sustains you. And now you have the opportunity to climb the great ahead that offers a vista of understanding. Imagine 6 billion human gods awakening, all with ancestors. Everything in life is significantly connected. The mountain that beckons you to climb its peak. You do not climb alone, you climb together. You and your multidimensional selves. At this point in your life, the thrust of energy is designed to take you into the home of spirit, where, with accumulated knowledge, you will reflect upon the experience, get a glimpse from the peak of your purpose for living. That's why I always ask to see your future. The vibrations of faith gained from passing through the dark territory is your reward. Use it to take the dark energy in need of love and healing to the peak of the mountain with you. This act of internal balance is an essence of spiritual quest and connects you to the God as if they had sent a telegram saying, "You are called to your home now. Come and bring us the tales of your feats, for you have journeyed far in your reinterpretations of living. We would be glad to hear of what you know and what you seek at this point of your initiation. You are dear friends in the global initiation of realization. Once you have been initiated, you will then go on to show the way, to teach about the new territories of thought you have pioneered. However, right now, you are still climbing towards the peak one step at a time. Your life is interconnected to the lives of many others. Yet because you experience so little of the electromagnetic band of the existence, you do not always understand the multiplicity of your dramas, which can appear to be isolated and connected only to you. Remember, educational systems have been based on isolation and separation. Isolation from yourself and separation from others, integrating and uniting with your mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional selves will connect you to the home of spirit. Be aware that the players in your drama also experience something similar. Third dimensional experiences offer a unique opportunity. You are connected to many other beings, and the lessons in living in the dramas they currently experience are parallel to yours to some degree. However, what experienced in 3D ripples outwards in a unique way. You are a focal point in time because the Earth's destiny and what is occurring here. We sometimes call it the big cosmic show, the fleeting moment of time between, that's all old, 1987 and 2012. I'm going to skip that when I come across it because we're way past that. Where you move from the deepest of destiny to the highest of frequencies, and where you extend from third dimensional living to span the electromagnetic band. Another unique ability of yours is that you can manifest in a very profound way what others cannot. You are alive in an extremely dense aspect of existence, yet you are continually flooded with energy of higher frequencies, which are based on instantaneous thought. Now, higher frequency does not imply something better, it is more like a reference point. Similar to the way notes on a musical scale are used for describing the vibration of sound frequency and how they are expressed within a slice of time. The lower the frequency, the less rapid the vibration occurs within the parallel or similar slice of time. However, when you start to vibrate more rapidly in the third dimensional world, you can span many realities and access great healing abilities from within. In general, you do not live for a great expanse of time, usually at best 10 decades. However, you sometimes live for thousands of years, as written in the old books. Ancestors, no matter which way you trace them, were celestial, and even more than that, no matter which way you trace them, you will discover that your ancestors were reptilian. In addition, there are other numerous forms of intelligence who parade in and out of the laboratories offering their protocols and prospectus on how to treat and deal with the humans. Remember, you can be adjusted and altered by vibration because everything is vibration. And in 3D lives, are currently challenged by the use of mind control through technology that can influence every area of your life. You must also take note beings whom you cannot see can affect you through frequency modulations from their dimensions, tuning frequencies that adjust you on a cellular level. Comets, the sun, the moon, all hold frequencies that modulate you in a particular way, affecting the expressions of your DNA in the cells of your body and the rate at which you grow in awareness. The purpose of living is to grow, and the fear you meet on your path, whatever your fear happens to be, is your form of the dark. The collective global fear is that of being in charge of oneself. So you give others your power of decision making, and in their need to live up to your expectations, they have chosen a dark, dark practice of power. This is part of the hidden wound in need of healing that you carry to the mountain. In one way or another, you are seeing a family member, friend, or yourself challenged to heal the wound of the human spirit, a wound that ripples throughout time and deep within the human psyche. A wound truly would be separation and isolation. Contemplate this thought for a moment. You have in the late 20th and early 21st century Earth become completely isolated from the majesty of spirit that is all around you. Yet that hidden blanket of aliveness is now unfurling and there is no stopping it. With this knowledge that we share, support yourselves, your loved ones, as you heal the wounds of the human psyche. Be encouraged to learn from their wounds as they mirror your own life and that of others, the purpose of living. If you use the knowledge as a reflection on living and where the seasons of change can take you, you will find the hidden message and meaning of the collective human wound. You will take this realization to the highest place you can, then finding the opportunities at the peak of destiny, you will return to bring your insights and knowledge into the valleys where most humans dwell, encouraging them to climb the mountain themselves. And then the journey continues for you many realms of frequencies. The ability to transmute fear by finding the significant purpose of it on personal, communal, global, and galactic level is another lesson you are here. The gods who jumped the electromagnetic spectrum and left footprints in the enigmatic nature in your world are waiting for something from you and are not necessarily aware of it. Although you consider these beings as all-knowing, omniscient, you must realize they are not so different from you, yet they have their own unique perspective on existence. The home of the gods is not necessarily a place where all knowingness and benevolence exist. It is not as miraculous as you may think. There is a different science, one you have yet to discover. Your science is based on demonstrability and repetition, on the conglomeration of theories that, if experientially replicated time and time again, become foundation principles. Many science on your world, Mendel, for example, with his genetic discoveries, or Kepler with his astronomy and astrology studies, have pioneered new interpretations of reality. Today's scientists, old and new, will be awed and humbled by the massive reinterpretations of reality you are challenged to build. You will find that the closer you are to the end of the fleeting moment, your lessons about reality mirroring itself, and that the parts cannot be separated from the whole, will drastically accelerate. Theory upon theory, premises upon premises, and foundations upon radical foundations will be flipped over and discarded. New ideas will continuously reappear, simultaneously transmitted, so that all of you can catch them at once as discovered of the same point of light. It is wise to question where the transmissions originated. The gods, as we said, laid down their supply line and stored their stuff, a cache of materials they would need while under siege or when stranded in time. In many ways, the gods are trapped right now and do not know how to move beyond where they are. They experience an aspect of reality that is far more expansive than yours. They jump timelines and traverse existence with the flip of an internal frequency and can appear as humans, a leader of a country, a movie star, an athlete, from all walks of life. Yet they do not have the imprinting of a birth resulting from sexual unions, the dynamic thrust of energy, the biological link-up of spiritual, emotional, physical, and mental bodies that create your life. This fusion of two bodies creating a frequency that welcomes in a new life allows you to experience a band of existence, a perspective, a point of view that can never be attained without sexual couplings. We offer you a reflection of who you are so you can create new probabilities in the Book of Earth, probabilities based on exalted learnings where you transcend limited thinking, turning your lessons into gems of living. You were born to experience a spectrum of frequencies from the most dense to the highest, and the gods knew this in their applications of experience and ideal wisdom. The gods live long, and sometimes they live with their lessons, their fear, their pain, and with repetition of cycles much longer than you can imagine. You may appear to live with greater angst and emotional interactions with existence. However, many of the beings you call God exist in the longevity of time that is immense. They have become prisoners in their own minds, prisoners of pain, and are ancient beings. Various forms of intelligence will appear in greater numbers than ever, as the development of your psychic senses allow you to access paranormal experiences and outer-worldly domains. The gods of multidimensional are connected to you, and not only do you broadcast to them, they also send messages back to you. The fear you carry to the high peaks has much more meaning than you assign to it. Whatever meanings you hold today are fine, yet the meanings will grow and grow in time, backwards and forwards. You carry out a task for many dimensional beings other than yourself, and they send you solutions through your fiduciary that they themselves cannot execute because, in their version of reality, change to the degree required now is not as easy for them as it is for you. You are the agents of change. The ability to change and transmute your lives is yours again and again to marvel over as you proclaim how well events unfold when you embrace faith and learn your lessons in living. There are no bad lessons, yet because you are afraid to know the dark and never study it, you turn what you fear and do not understand into a guise of darkness. Some of you never leave the swamplands because you do not have the courage with the fear that you carry to climb the mountain. And so transmute you must for yourselves, for all humankind, the most essential for your reptilian family, whose wounds, like yours, go very, very deep. Everything is imbued with knowledge, and you are a part of a huge hologram. Every one small fragment of anything contains the whole. So you must learn to access the part and then understand that that part cannot be number of years. Great parts of the story of existence, will appear as pieces of the puzzle. Pay close attention because as each step takes you further up the mountain, each new discovery will be a thread brought forth from the earth and the heavens. From memories on the corridors of time, weaving significant tales about the majesty of your lineage. The gods stashed their greatest victory and aspiration in you, knowing that when reality shut down and the potential gridlock occurred, you had been given the keys to unlock reality everywhere. These are lofty concepts, yet this is the quest you are on, which takes place from the moment to moment in privacy and significance of your life. So breathe deep and look around, knowing you are called upon to expand your worldview, to sit in the home of spirit and share what you know, to hear and see and to experience what the world is like for the peaks of existence. Those of you who are mountain climbers know that when you are at the top of the mountain, the energy are rarefied. Often great clarity comes to those who climb. Mountain climbers sometimes carry burdens or problems on their back. When they get to the top of the mountain, they have solutions. Mountain serves as huge antennas reaching up into the atmosphere. Remember, your atmosphere is imprinted with life. And so you climb the mountain to breathe the most rarefied of air, clear your head, and reach the peaks where all existence can be seen. Can all humans be traced to one ancestor? Is there such a being? Legends on earth seem to imply as much. Although there were certainly primary gods, secondary gods, and tertiary gods. In ancient times, the ancestors knew that these gods battled in the heavens and appeared periodically in their ships of light, causing shaking and thunders of the earth. They were sometimes afraid of the gods, and sometimes they appeared for their coming. Huge underground structures were built long ago, tunnels and cities in South America, Asia Minor, and China. All over the globe are yet to be discovered underground dwellings that house many people, even whole civilizations. This gives you something to ponder. Why would your ancestors build cities underground? What beings periodically visited the planet, leaving their tracks and trails in every legend and mythology, using Merid names and convorting in different capacities? The legends appear to be similar from the continent to continent. These visitors literally exist in another dimension and periodically intercede in yours. And when they are invisible, it simply means that you do not see them, yet they still can influence you. As you climb, you will see other peaks and you will view the home of spirits and gods, eventually realizing that the gods and their family are vast. In your desire for a single god, you have confused your God with the singularity of the force of love, the unified field that connects you and everything else to experience existence. You are all part of the presence, a hologram of omniscient knowing, the field of love that is in every frequency spectrum in every universe. The essence, the field of love, is the ultimate source and differentiates itself from every way possible. In your quest for a single deity, you have interpreted to the best of your ability the phenomena of UFOs, the intercession of the spirit world. Actually, forces from everywhere send you energy, although sometimes they trick you. They also help you climb the mountain to view the great vision. How you respond is part of your living and the lessons you've learned from one time to another. An immense mountain, a singular peak, rises from the swamps, awaits you. From the top of this mountain, the highest some you will ever climb, you will see a vast expanse of mountain peaks and may then realize there is no one mountain or one God. You do not have to climb every peak out there. Yet by climbing a peak, you can begin to see more, reconsidering what else is out there. When you reconsider your beliefs, your knowledge and purpose in living expands. Reflect on your life and recall your mystical experiences. And please do not hide these experiences because you are afraid to be labeled crazy or insane. You are now challenged to bring the mysterious, mystical home of spirit back to your planet because this is what is missing. The gods await your announcement. They know you hold solutions and that the frequency of love that you can create is the ultimate healing source. Like no other species in the existence, you have been gifted with this capacity that has always been there for your potential. Many of you seek to increase your potential, which includes both mental and physical stamina. Yet above all, we ask you to seek out your potential to produce love. This is the gift stored within you that the gods await. How you bring that love forwards is, of course, up to you, since there are so many ways and varieties, as there are plants and flowers, birds and bees upon the planet, as many varieties as the 6 billion gods dare to decree. It is important to understand the act of the transmutations you are called upon to experience is an act of divine love intended to heal the dimensions of time. Time jumpers and your ancestors will send you bits of knowledge because your now is woven into theirs. However, you are head weavers and one who has decided which thread goes where, who checks the design to make certain the patterns stay balanced. Your ancestors often left their keys of knowledge in patterns of fabrics and in weaving of rugs. You see the designs as beautiful pieces of art, yet if you were to study them and discover the truth, you would find them containing hidden codes and meanings, ciphers passed down through time for generations. Visit a museum or a place where artifacts are gathered. Look at them and imagine their functions being reinterpreted. Perhaps the masks, the statues, tools and utensils, dolls, weapons, and everything you see are now coming alive, activated and ready to tell you a very different story than the one that speaks predominantly of people divided and conquered. We ask you to look in every nook and cranny and open your mind to the idea that a completely different story waits to be interpreted by you. As Pleiadian time travelers, when we enter your world seeking to discover more of who we are, we do so knowing that the reality exists as a mirror and that the parts cannot be separated from the whole. This is true, and we continue to find it so. Then it seems to us that if the part cannot be separated from the whole, the reality mirrors itself. Eventually, everything becomes united and reaches a stage of complete self-knowing. Your theories about formations of existence include the movements of expansion and contraction. You continuously experience these movements from moment to moment in your life as you breathe. You breathe you breathe in the vitality force which fills your lungs and empties them. Even though most of you breathe unconsciously, the message still is intact. Expand and contract, since you need both actions to live and experience the fullness of existence. Your job as family of light is to weave all the pieces together to consider all actions, and when you experience an uncomfortable area, realize it is time to reassess your beliefs and assumptions about reality, to see them in a completely new light. A change of administration is always accompanied by a bit of scuffling, and your gods have certainly left such tales in your history books. Massive galactic battles have transpired, and the earth has been, to some, a sanctuary, a place where they have fled from the great battles. Science fiction novels and movies about space travel, stories of light and dark, are part of the cellular memory that you are learning to understand and address. You will eventually discover an influence that is vast, so vast it will seem impossible for your mortal, three-dimensional mind to fathom. Just as a mere 5 decades ago, numbers in the trillions were difficult for you to imagine. You will eventually become accustomed to and feel at home with this vastness of the spiritual domain. It is comparable to starting off with a simple computer program, then signing on to the internet where there is so much more from which to choose. The times propel you to create new numerological patterns in your being, and what seems at first to be too much stimulation eventually becomes manageable. Every species goes through a similar process of an expansion of consciousness when it is their time. The gods found their battles over who would be in charge, and at one time every culture had stories of the mother and father gods and their children. Sometimes their children mated with humans, creating the demigods, extending their hierarchy farther away from the mother-father god influence. Often your ancestors built pyramids to delineate the level of families of existence under whose influence they were subject to. Pyramids around the globe were decorated with symbols of serpents, stars, moons, suns, discs, all of which hold significant keys to your understanding of the vast intelligence who at different times have influenced you. And we remind you once again that just because you cannot see them and they do not appear to you, does not mean they are not there. The gods in their dimensions can affect you through the spectrum, an idea which you need to grasp. The standards of your living are an essential part of the frequency you broadcast at all those to all those connected to you. And we say once again that it is essential for you to influence your multidimensional self by putting your frequencies in the ethers. Your ancestors are relying upon you to do this because their wounds are ancient and they do not know how to completely heal them. We are already suggested that the frequency of love is the common frequency of which everything is composed, and that humans produce love in such a unique way. In the making of very fine wine, special grapes are grown in a select land and in specific cyclical seasons where all conditions are ideal. These grapes are making the most exquisite wine are harvested. You are like the grapes in the season on a sequestered hillside, prepared in the season of change to produce the most exquisite of elixirs and essences. Your version of love at its finest is awaited, and even though it may seem to be a small crop, a minor vestige, so to speak, when you produce your finest and allow it to spread, in the bigger book of existence. It ripples outwards beyond your now, affecting the whole. Everything is frequency. It only takes a little shift in frequency to affect all other frequencies. So as frequency beings, you are to become aware to transmute and expand, to enter into the home of spirit as people who have led people to lead themselves. Because the gods influence you, the energies of their unresolved family dramas are transferred as frequency to your world. You may say, "Are family fights not normal?" Yes, it is true. There are disagreements and arguments within families. However, violence is unnecessary. Violence is the opposite of love and creates a divide and conquer syndrome through separation and isolation. The wounds of the gods, wounds of separation, of fear and terror, of being alone and not knowing how to deal with it, are no greater than your own. They just exist longer and affect more people, more of existence. In their own arrogance, the gods have been so immersed in their power that they are unable to step back and reflect on what they created. Empathy, the ability to feel for others, is unknown to these gods, and for you it is one of your greatest characteristics. Raising your frequency, producing your versions of the vibration of love is based upon your ability to feel deep pain, fear, anxiety, discordance, confusion, and chaos. To go into these feelings, survive them, and to find peace once again. Use your will to create peace within yourself and your life, and resolve that all situations shall turn into opportunities. Many beings await your courage to carry on these momentous tasks, which you think you carry alone as your own private fear, when in actuality your fears are manifestations of a great separation and wound of the gods, your ancestors throughout time. Now knowing all of this, and that the book of earth is connected to all of existence, perhaps you will walk lighter as you climb, straightening your shoulders and breathing deeper into your body than ever have you, and saying, "Ah, is that what's going on? Now that I know the quest for myself and the reinterpretation from all humanity, then of course I shall do it." Remember that you have free will in each moment to create a unique and brand new version of existence, yet those moments are also overlaid in time, can be looked at backwards and forwards, as if they are solid events having already occurred. Your free will can only be exercised by you. Of course, destination exists, yet some destinations are ignored and never chosen. The very moment holds the potential for you to think of a new opposition or new opinion, to receive a unique idea in the fleeting moment of time. Using your will entwined with knowing that you live a significant life allows you to translate your experience into wisdom. The gods believe they have held the truth for eons, as do the world management team, the family of dark. Actually, all people feel they hold truths, but today new truths are at hand, new philosophies and beliefs, completely unlike anything you have previously conceived. We do our best to name and describe what is occurring, yet in truth, it is unnameable. We can barely scratch the surface with our description of where you are headed. And like your ancestors, we have no words to describe the realm that awaits you. Yet our words deliver a resonance and hidden meanings, a plan within a plan. No matter where you find yourself, know that one of the greatest truths of all is that everything is connected. Give up your sense of isolation. Discover that the part cannot be separated from the whole. For by knowing this, you become a part of the whole plan. You will see plans within plans within plans. No force of existence can ever implement its plan without the other options existing from which to choose. In order to transmute a plan and participate from a higher place of awareness, you must remember and know where your power lies. Imagine the entire world being reinterpreted to reveal people finding significance in the land they live on. feeling pride in the continent of their birth, looking across mountains, swamps, valleys, and meadows, watching winds blow across deserts, or howling through the tops of trees, hearing rain and thunder, and seeing the wonders of the polar lights and full of the darkest moons. Imagine people everywhere feeling the call to understand the highest knowledge, to view living from that peak. That's pretty cool. Like, this is where we're trying to come up in our awareness. Now, legends in the cosmos. So I'll read this chapter, and when I'm done, I'll finish for the day. Like, over the years I've been teaching people, I've given so many messages and so many things trying to help people to wake up. And there's so many codes, and sometimes things are coded. Like, if you read the Bible, it's nothing but codes. You look at the parables, and if you just focus on one parable for a year, you're going to get really lots of different answers, and they'll unlock all kinds of codes. And mantras in Buddhism and all kinds of things do these things. And this is where, like I say, people, they want to get in other people. They want to open up other people and look into the future, but they're violating the most sacred thing. You never open somebody's chakras or energy or anything without their permission. Because once you tear somebody open, all kinds of dark, negative things get in. Nobody wants that done to them, so why do they do it to anyone? Legends in the cosmos. 500 years ago, your European ancestors were confronted with the fact that the earth was round, not flat surface. They were in peril of falling off. They had to grasp that they were living in far more expansive realms than they had ever imagined, even though ancient maps of Earth have always existed, with some showing Antarctica without the ice caps and islands in the northern regions. No one knew for certain what was out there because the real knowledge had been lost. Ignorance prevailed as separation became the mode of influence on your world. Separate the people, give them a divinity, and tell them their divinity is the only one. Today, humankind has over 200,000 divinities or religions that are all separated. Can you imagine 200,000 different ways of believing? Yet during the bridging of an age, there is always an opportunity for unity. From our experience, we contend that wherever conscious finds itself, it must locate and immerse itself there. You each have a name and address and use numbers of identification. Yet some of you are afraid that through computer systems, these names and numbers can be used to identify and locate you anywhere at any time. From your perspective, you are so much more than letters and numbers. You are energy. You are all family of light, whether you are a cousin, one branch removed, or one of the staunchest and patriarchs and matriarchs. It makes no difference, for you are destined to know what we share with you. As we see in the Book of Earth, the test is to understand you are all part of a genetic experiment, and as energies are received by you, you each choose them in different ways. Yet we see the bridge that you build, a bridge from everywhere and nowhere. That allows time jumpers to enter and influence the outcome of this great era of creativity, where reality will be imprinted and set into motion for a period of time. The influence of the stars in the heavens is important for you to recognize. On Earth, you are enchanted and entertained with the moon that modulates and influences you. You will learn to communicate with this satellite to a greater degree when you understand that the moon has a story to tell. A story that holds many of the missing keys to the unfoldment of your consciousness. The vast heavens are filled with the movement that has been recorded in calendars of stones from around the planet, pointing out solstice, equinox positions, as well as noting various star systems. These indicators are built by design and not by accident. Your ancestors understood cosmic principles that you laughed at today thinking them unimportant, yet they were able to live with his cosmic cousins, the stellar beings, the celestial visitors who came from the stars and through the dimensions. As the great fan of existence unfolds into this time of immense power, consider what you will do with your power. Do you dream of being a time jumper, caught up in tangled corridors of time, seeding yourself everywhere and thinking that no one will ever suspect it? The gods themselves have these abilities, yet everything is connected and nothing happens without consequence. Little parts of them get separated everywhere throughout time, billions and trillions and quadrillions of years beyond what you can conceive. And things have been around for quadrillions of years. And even though the separation is immense, it is still part of the vast intelligence that monitors itself and stays connected to all parts of itself, because that is its power. The energy that comes to you, as we have said, is designed and planned. As a genetic experiment, you are small fractions of a vastness of existence, a speck. However, as we have also said, from our point of view, you are a priceless speck, a unique jewel, majestic and magically magnificent. Now the quest for answers always lead to greater questions, as you are discovering, and yet it is this questing that truly imbues you, and certainly us, with a spark of life. When you lose interest in the place where you find yourself, then the game is over. Many of you wonder what will you do in a world activated by this energy? How will you live? Where will you live? What will you do? Your real work is to expand your consciousness, allowing this energy of change to move through you. And when it changes your old ways of thinking, then the patterns of your life will stop repeating themselves. You will be open to new possibilities. In the past few days, weeks, months, how many repetitive patterns have you experienced? If your dramas are repeating themselves, step back, take a look. Realize that this area of your life needs change. Changing involves giving up specific thoughts, feelings, actions, and behaviors, seeing them as beliefs about reality. You're often glued shut like a little seed with a hard casing, although, if you remember, when the casing cracks, the seed lets go of what is no longer needed. When this occurs, life for the seed becomes smoother, and so you too are called forth like the seed to sprout upwards and reach into the rays of the sun and the rays of cosmic change. It is important to realize that those who encourage you to be in fear of change influence the kind of energies you put out. When you are in fear, the vibrations you transmit has a jagged edge to it. When you exude the energy of confidence, faith, and love, and are open to receive power while being humble at the same time, your field is strong and expansive. A humble recognition of power, as well as clear codes of conduct, is an essential map of understanding that will help you assess what may lie ahead and give you courage to face the future. We look at the book of Earth and see probabilities, and we will say this: there is a point to the nanosecond of time, 25-year period. You are so privileged to live. It is to transmute yourself from dense beings to the highest frequencies. You are envied and watched, but these energies do not come to destroy you. They are here to amplify and bring out the best in your genetic line. Many people do not understand what is occurring, and they may think it unfair to be subjected to a plan. And to whose plan? We are always mentioning the gods, your ancestors, and we do so quite ambiguously to avoid over-defining them, so as to allow your timelines, your DNA, your windows between your eyebrows, and the place that you have learned to energize, to show you where you have come from, where you are going, and the cosmic plan that it involves you. Without the nanosecond, the closer one gets to the future, the more difficult it appears to be to access Earth. For it seems that certain frequencies have, let us say, set up roadblocks, and that is fine. It tells us that you will have to deal with what you have created. Yet for those of you who have a connection to the vistas of higher consciousness, where you feel a link to the spiritual world as a rightful inheritance and live it peacefully in the most ordinary ways, these lines will never be closed down. They are rich with life and exquisitely encoded to be open for you. However, you must seek them out, and the closer the nanosecond is to completion by the end, the more difficult it is for time jumpers to come in, as well as the viewers of this section of the Book of Earth, to see exactly what transpires. It appears that there is a void, as of certain portions of the book have been blacked out, censorship perhaps, or cordoned off, roadblocks for protection or defense. It is all the same. It makes little difference whether the plan is one of light or one of dark, since each family is a part of the whole, which you must remember as power becomes yours. And this is where, as we go in the fourth and fifth dimension, you can't see what the future is. And a lot of beings are trying to see and manipulate it. They're trying to interfere and block. And even the Mayans only could see to a certain point in time. They couldn't see past. So people thought it was 2012, but we're more in it now. And there's all kinds of beings and things trying to come in and alter, trying to influence us. The governments, all kinds of things are all over the place doing stuff. And there are people like me and others who are trying to bring in all this new to help the planet, to change the world. And I came here to do this. And there are a lot of people on this earth and all over the place that know this. And every day they try to interfere and stop. Cindy is here to do that. And we are trying to create a business to do workshops and lots of things to help this planet. And it doesn't seem to want to come through because there's so many things being fired at us, interfering. Like we got to be out of this house at the end of the month. We don't know where we're going. We don't even have a place at the end of June, I mean. But we're trying to create the things we need to move forwards. In the days long past, on your planet, there were many stories and tales of dragons, magicians, of beings who flew in the heavens, as well as humans who invoked the heavens and were taken up into the sky. These tales have peppered your legends, yet it is in most cases the modern of today believe their stories are figments of ancestral imagination. By visiting museums, you allow yourself to reconsider the information there, to be so open to the impulses of knowledge that will come through you. As the energies flow into and around the earth, be in wonder like little children first learning about the world. Wonder about the unfoldment of knowledge rather than knowing about it. There is an old saying in the Book of Earth, and it appears again and again. The more you learn, the less you know. And that saying is found in other books that tell about existence in other places where you find yourself with other names, other corporal realities, and different consciousness. Remember, the fiduciary's job is to keep the books and manage them for you, as well as to keep you informed in an honest way as to what connects you to the business of living. Nonetheless, you are sometimes overwhelmed. You bounce checks, forget to take the garbage out on the right day. You are recycling, paying bills, doing the laundry, dry cleaning, shopping and groceries, and you pick up the kids. These activities occupy your living. But you are coming now to a time of change where you will no longer do many of them. Do not mourn the past. Some of you live for the good old days, yet the good old days are being made in the present. The place where you find yourself is where we want you to be, ripe, full, and alive, because you are presently the seedling, the kernel, the sprout of what you will become. Much of existence is focused on you at this time, although that is not to say everyone has their telescope pointed at the earth. However, there are legends in the cosmos, just as there are legends on the earth. The cosmic legends speak of a time of change and refer to you as a gem of the genetic library, tucked away, an experiment made for just in case time. And this experiment has been sought over and discounted, recognized and forgotten, valued and given away. You have experienced all these events in the collective of your consciousness, in the cells of who you are. 500 years ago, your ancestors were not called upon to have their cells awakened in the way your cells are now. In the annals of time in the book of earth, these opportunities to awaken do not appear that often. As we have said, the cycles you find yourself in is the 26,000 year procession of the equinox, divided into 12 eras, with the imprint of 12 having a profound effect on your system. Clock, calendar, configuration of 12 are found everywhere. You carry an imprint that organizes your world around the numerical 12. It is part of your time cycle, so to speak, affecting the core of your being. It appears to us that as the nanosecond closes and you reach this point, you will move to the next counting of time. Time is arbitrary and never definitive. However, everything is significant and connects in time. Even randomly occurring phenomena like the placement of the moon in perfect configuration with the sun, so they appear to be of the same size. And even though there are plans within plans, do not think the family of dark has the final plan, nor does the family of light. You may wonder who has the final plan and who or what is the maker. The maker is the great force you are required by destiny and self-decree to produce for existence, for yourself, and for the experiment. You are the gods, secrets tucked away in time, and they wait to see if you can change from one form of being into another in a nanosecond. That's when we'll be in the fifth dimension. And that's what the future, the age of Aquarius, is all about. In their terms, in yours, perhaps it takes a lifetime enriched and extraordinary, above and beyond extraordinary existence. You have an exquisite opportunity to create a completely unique kind of power and to bring purposefulness and meaning to Earth. Cosmic legends are full of this tale about you humans, just as your legends of the Earth are filled with tales of magicians. At a juncture in time, you are looked upon in the Book of Earth as magicians yourselves. The whole lot of you, not simply a few. The heavens hold a rich imprint of electromagnetic aliveness. As you move through space, your planet, solar system, the galaxy all traverse new territories. This territory has been planned for you to encounter one that will recode your DNA in this time to connect you with the multidimensional intelligence that exists beyond your biology and is your inheritance. And this is the new energy. And it has to come inside and it has to transform you. Nobody can do it on this planet. Once you are dialed in right, it will just start doing it. And like I say, it was already there waiting. We have said the book of Earth was made by ordinary men and women, most of whom names never appeared in the history books. People who never led battles or coups, yet the richness of their existence, their knowledge, and their abilities were imprinted in the blood they passed along to you. Remember, your ancestral lineage is rich, and it is there for you to pick and choose from to decide which aspects of power and creativity you wish to cultivate. Rule breakers are often the ones who explore new territory. Some rules are made to be broken, especially the rules that inhibit your freedom and tell you what to think. Instead of encouraging you to become a creative, thinking, and perceiving part of the loving whole, the ruler of the plan, above and beyond the plans of the family of light and family of dark, is a force called love. All of this may appear to be an enigma, a paradox, to baffle your being. You are legends in the making and have already created the legends because, as we have said, periods of time can be approached from any direction, although every once in a while a fragment of time can appear to be uh, quad, uh, quatrained, no, quaratined, Quaratined, quaratined. Sounds weird. In that case, warning signs are posted saying that the time site is overloaded with too many visitors. Like on your internet, computer linkups can serve as a model of sorts for time jumping, although, of course, time jumping is much more fantastic. As you expand your consciousness, you build constructions outside of yourself to mirror the greater workings of existence. Your creativity works this way, yet so often you create without wit or wisdom. You become so enamored of inventions that you miss the purpose, which is to present you with a model of the universe. Again, we mention that you are biological beings of impeccable design. If you grasp this truth, then you will build a bridge of great strength and will weave around the darkness, leaving it to discover itself, to eventually realize that to create destruction is to set the course for self-destruction. Through the cosmic calendar and timing of events, this truth is coming home to roost, so to speak. The moon makes 13 cycles, from the new moon to the full in one of your years, yet your modern calendar focuses on solar years of 12 months. Contemplating the number 13 as a hidden mystery will bring an understanding of what influences you. Although 13 has been considered a number of ill luck and evil, if you search, you will find that it holds a very powerful key for decoding the consciousness of humankind. The year in the declining portions of the nanosecond will fly by like months to you. Those who exist in a much larger expanse of time must fine tune their focus to capture this fleeting 25-year nanosecond. No easy task. If you wonder what this may be like, find nanosecond in your own life. Then see if you can continuously enter it and find the richness it holds, comparing it to 25 years of your time. It seems impossible to do. How could it be? Perhaps you cannot yet imagine that technology could be designed where someone could say, look, let's take a second that's already happened, locate a nanosecond of it, and then extend it into 25 years so we can see what's there. Based on your science, you could see emptiness, that nothing would be there. How could something so little contain anything? Yet, if you think about it, your place within the heavens is a mere speck of littleness as well. How could you be? How could your life be so full and complex and burdensome and joyful? How could it be so rich and alive? Yet in the vastness of everything, in the book of existence, how much space would you take up? The builders of the bridge of light will accomplish much, although they have many challenges to face in the years ahead. Remember, it will never pay to attach, condemn, or destroy another. It is truly to your benefit as family of light to take on the awesome task and be gracious, intend upon finding solutions. You are not to ignore challenges or difficulties, and in looking at the purpose of the dark, you will see a need to heal. A time will come when you will be called upon to be a great visionary, to imagine an outcome that may seem impossible, and to trust yourselves with a faith that seems beyond whatever you could imagine. All over the world, on every continent, chaos will reign, and that's what we're going into. Chaos can arouse fear. However, fear is a choice. In times past, in times simultaneously, and even in times of the future, there are always those who choose fear, yet not all your ancestors did. Victors write the books of fear where the victims are conquered. Although to be conquered, you must first believe you are a victim. This is the choice you too shall make, victim or creator. Remember, victims choose fear and become paralyzed, and the vibration sent out is quite jagged and discordant. Chaos is part of the time of change. It is dismantling process and the time of confusion, where one is not certain of anything except for certain aliveness that accompanies its arrival. It appears in books of the earth that the more secure you feel, the more commonplace you become or complacent you become, and then the easier it is for others to influence, manage, and control your thinking process. Confusion can serve many purposes, for it can ultimately introduce a new order. Leaderships everywhere attempt to create order to hold power for you because you do not want it yourself. So we ask you always to question whose order is being introduced. Remember, there are plans within plans, and no matter whose order is in plan of the day, those of you who are wise and aware know there is always another plan, another order, an order so mysterious one must initiate oneself in a new way of perceiving and thinking to read it. We do our best to describe this order in words, so you can capture words in books, study them, and nod your head and say, yes, I'm aware of this force. And this is something I try to make people understand. So I got a few pages and then I'll be done. I'm surprised it's only noon. I thought I wouldn't be this far. Thank you for staying with me. Thank you for your time, your donations, and every other thing. Because this stuff is important to hear and understand. I want to bring people together for the right reasons, and I have the knowledge to do this. I don't need anybody probing and opening and closing, blowing my base chakra around, smashing my crown chakra, putting things in my throat chakra, sealing my heart chakra, and doing stupid things. Lots of you people watch this all the time. That's not acceptable. And I want to teach and create things, and I don't want people like that in my life. It always goes back to everybody that does this. You're not getting away. Don't matter who you are. In your desire to experience tactical living, you have become so busy with constructing and building that you have forgotten about connections. Throughout the last few ages, it appears that your ancestors did not have as many material objects and as much as busyness to occupy themselves. They did not have the elaborate highway systems for traveling, or the electronics, commerce, sports, and entertainment that you do. Living was different for them, and yet they were alive. The seasons of change that you find yourself within ask you to be more alive as well. Chaos has its own order and creates an aliveness that balances and finely tunes the senses, making you more keenly aware of the food you eat, especially if you are short of funds, or if the shelves in your store are empty and the food in the garden is not yet ready. Chaos still brings a new order, an order that has to do with spiritual organization, one with no speaker or head of the pyramid. Ancient legends are filled with tales of those who evoke higher powers, of extraordinary magicians who appear one moment and were gone the next, and of legendary ancestors, the dragons who both provoked and protected humankind. These stories are not mere flights of fancy, figments of imagination, or whims of delightful pen. The ethers are alive, and the electromagnetic spectrum is a storehouse of frequency through which you can surf existence. Your physical bodies are designed to respond to encodings in the coming energies, which you would consider a miracle if you knew it. was happening. A miracle, dear friends, that you can muck up because nothing is guaranteed. There is always a choice of freedom. Even within the tyrannies, the freedom is so vast that it allows the tyrannies their reign. In the later years of the fleeting moment in time, you will see radical changes everywhere. Structures of authority will crumble, and great halls of Congress and parliaments, places where the voices of authority spoke, will be empty. This is not something we see as ominous or fearful. It is something that happens, and the groundswell of relief will arise within people, and the renaissance will appear to be at hand, one based on the psychic connection and the need for one another, not on outside authority. We see this realization in certain fragments of the Book of Earth. However, we cannot see everything. As we have said, some vistas are cordoned off so there will be no interference, and you can deal with what you have created. And if it is tyranny you create, then you will find yourself in a dark corridor of time, and cordoned off areas allow you to move forwards uninterrupted into dark or light. Whatever you choose for at some point, you must manifest. So the chaos ultimately brings you to the opportunity to connect and manifest, and eventually you will discover what it is to be a community. Although for now you must each see if you are qualified to lead yourselves. We know you are ready and qualified. The question is, do you? We can look at the Book of Earth backwards, forwards, and sideways in time and see the impulses and plans, the design of the family line, the genetic mating and the passing of certain traits through to all of you, not just a few. The ruling families on your planet know the significance in the number 13 and steer you away from its use, convincing you that it is the number of ill luck and evil. However, it is a key to the doorways of the mysteries of power. And remember that you cannot avoid power. As humankind, more power is coming to you, and this is decreed in the book and books and by the force itself. Before you can build a true community where you live connected with each other and with the dimensional and celestial beings as well, you must first feel qualified to lead yourself. Are you autonomous and in charge? Are you comfortable being the creator, the designer of your own reality? This is being asked of you, and once it is asked, you cannot turn your back on power. Do your best. Hold your chin high and your spine straight. Breathe into your lungs a fullness that you are and see yourself as energetic beings vibrating the energy you choose through your will and intent. No matter what probability and choices are presented, always know that Spirit is around you, speaks through you, to you, with you, for you, and even against you as a test. You must be alert and gather your wits, and ideally, our tales remind you to do this. Remember the magician of old held their secrets, as did the dragons in their legends. The dragons had many wonderful gifts, and in living numerous civilizations on your planet. Now you are wondering, are they the creatures depicted in the books, calendars, cards? Are they real? Are you living in a time when the world, real, just as your words, truth, will be redefined, expanded upon, and understood in a different light? Many you are legends and myths are very real. At the closing of the nanosecond, the creatures in the myths and legends will all return. You will see them first in your imagination as cells in your body release their stories when the earth vibrates at a new frequency and the and breathes a sigh of release through her magnetic fields. You will find new data sprouting up around you. And from geysers of knowledge inside yourself, information will spring forth, and you will need each other to weave it together and connect it to the whole. Remember, you're always being given threads and pieces of threads, is fine in itself, but woven together, the threads create an even finer tapestry. The implosion of knowledge leads to your power as living biological beings. This is happening to everyone, everywhere. People on the streets, those who sequester away in nursing homes, hospitals, and prisons. It happens on the playgrounds, in schools and workplaces, out on the pastoral lands and in the fields, on the mountain tops and in the valleys. In every land where the sun rises and sets, families of light and families of dark live. And who are those in between? Who claim kin to neither, and who would think this late a tale rambling, ranting and rave? Who are they? We ask you to ask yourself. You are, after all humankind, rather than claim over allegiance to either light or dark. Ground yourself and explore what you have in common, your humanness, for it is this quality that so many have sought. The legends of dragons are rich, and richer still are stories of the legendary lizards, the ancient manuscripts, and books that have been sequestered have practically, in religious centers, placed their kind everywhere, around the globe in all of the halls of knowledge, invented and true. You will find families of light willing to remember, willing to weave the story of unity and wholeness. Invented the true, you will find families of light willing to remember, willing to weave the stories of unity and wholeness, of power and purposeful living. The ancient lizards and dragons were very fascinated with humans. As the story goes, they are responsible for your creation, or so they feel and believe. They have mated with you, studied you, taught you, cherished you, helped you, established civilization. They have also raised you to devour and consume you. As their three-dimensional beings, you see yourselves in one way. However, the legendary lizards, ancestors of all ancient ones, the elders of long ago, see you in a different way. You are part human to them, yet they see you across the spectrum of existence and know the strength of your humanity. They count on your predictability, and yet they also know that in the book of Earth at this time, a wild card is being dealt. Everything you have learned is being tested now, and the cream of the crop will produce the most exquisite of elixirs, the elixir of love frequency. One of your tests today is understanding frequency, your ability to recognize it, to know that you have always been producing it and will continue to produce frequency whether you are dead or alive. Your challenge is to modulate frequency, to change your mode of living from a reptilian of dramas that usually zap your health and take your spirit away. You must learn to recognize what does not work for you, then release your fear and change. This action will modify the frequency and vibration that you broadcast. This lesson, dear friends, is being taught to you in kindergarten, the essence of this phase of your education. Before you can read the book of existence, you must understand the book of the earth. Remember, as the centuries close, a new one begins. Even though your markings of time is an arbitrary, convenient local custom, it is also part of a larger marking of the divine plan. Everything is coded. The cells of your body, your DNA, the air you breathe, the living biological library, the ether, and the heavens. No matter what you think, you invent or conjure and bring into form, you're reminded that it is never an isolated event. Everything is always connected to something else. Plans within plans within plans will reveal themselves. So we ask you, dear friends, to rest assured that the family of light, waiting to peek at the book of the earth, to see what lies ahead, there is something exquisite that you can create. What it is, we do not know. We will do our best to inspire you to create a new version of your future. However, you must first make a self-assessment. What do you want to build in this time of immense change? If your ancestors truly are living legends, returning as dragons, reptiles, and multidimensional creatures, and as your biological human ancestors speak to you, and as all of this power comes to you, the sense of connectedness, of knowing the past mysteries had meaning, stones, crosses, crystals, chalices of blood, caches of gold, steeds of great power, the beasts that surface from the depths of oceans. If all of this is real, what world will you build? The flat worlders did not think of these potentials when they set out 500 years ago. They forgot they would become their own ancestors, and so they were easily steered to destruction, separation, disconnected, meaningless, and to completion and striving for material achievement. You have equated power with material consumption, collection, and hoarding. You admire people who have vast mansions, caches of gold, jewels, and trinkets to dazzle and befuddle the public. Is this really wealth and power? The real power lies in knowing the meaning of the song of the birds. They sing to be synchronized and harmonized with the sounds of nature, the tree frogs, the insects, the whippoorwills, the calls of the morning dove, the mockingbirds, the nightingales, with this sweet sound at dusk. The lizard dragon ancestors were multifaceted in their ability to live because they understood that many aspects of civilization, of which creativity is one of the most powerful, for without creativity, individuality, and life itself wither and fade away. This is part of the problem humankind's face today. An overfocus on the accumulation of material goods has allowed you to produce without creativity and meaning, and engineering a sameness, a replication to keep all of you moving along the same path. In the ensuing years of chaos, great creativity will arise, connected to the famine principle, intertwined with strong masculine principles, establishing a balance. At this stage, you will begin to understand that the management of energy is your true quest of power. You cannot escape the fact that energy requires you to know it in the same way that the meaningful plan of spirit requires you to make it known in your home. Do not be frightened of these times of change. If the words and concepts seem foreign to some of you, then remember your ancestors of 500 years ago when a whole new world was opening for them as well. For hundreds of years afterwards, they traveled in ships on the ocean, still wondering if the great beasts of legends would arise and devour them. Some of the voyagers saw the movements of objects from the future in and out of the waters at night, but these mysteries were kept very quiet. If they spoke of such things, the label of insanity would quickly be laid on them. The last 500 years were times of great expansion. However, there was also an immense control over how you would perceive the expansion. In reflecting upon your ancestors throughout time, we ask you to open up your genetic inheritance and to consider without judgment the challenges your ancestors face. From the tops of mountains that you have climbed, know that you are the pinnacle of comprehensions. For now, so what conclusions do you draw? What is the total of your knowledge? Do your wisdom and living flourish? The dragons of renown are nameless creatures, but they are not formless. They have many personalities and are shapeshifters who embody a magnificent force. You have a similar force in your body. However, it is disavowed, beaten, or enslaved, rarely encouraged to develop. Your traditions call this force the fire of life, the flame of existence, the kundalini, the inner serpent that arises within you. All traditions speak and weave their meanings and symbolic interpretations around the legends of your ancestors, the great reptiles and dragons, Now imagine these creatures live around you and they have not been visible to your eyes because they live in other dimensions and domains. The electromagnetic spectrum, the band of existence, houses them right next to your address, yet you cannot see them. Earlier, we suggested taking any nanosecond, a billionth of a second, as you count time, and break it down to find 25 years worth of living. You may think that the place is empty, yet in actuality is where the dragons dwell, where the ancient reptilian lineage that is your inheritance calls home. So you will build a technology that breaks down time to examine your own seconds and discover new frontiers of territory within nanoseconds. If you accomplish this feat, have compassion for what you experience. In addition, vistas of reality may appear to you, and you will think of them distinctly alive and real. As you turn a dial to find yourself poised in another world, yet you will know without a doubt that you are located in the 20th century or early 21st century Earth. This experience will become commonplace and may create many casualties. Some people will be very frightened for their sanity, even if they have joyous experiences. You must encourage the exploration within and create the vibration of safety. An exquisite opportunity exists through the service of the fiduciary to enliven and uplift your spirit. You strive for fulfillment when you decode the number 13 and see the 26,000 year procession cycle divided by 13 rather than 12. The missing 13 slice was always there, just like the 13 moons. We ask you to consider the number 12 and 13 mean much more than you have understood. We will assure you that through language and number, everything is coded backwards, forwards. As you learn to read energy, you will recognize it as your inheritance of power. As you become managers of energy, you will see the aliveness, the purposefulness of existence, and the deception cannot hold truth. And what you may ask is truth. Truth is where no secrets are kept. That is truth. A healing occurs in sharing the knowledge and in the revealing of secrets. Secrets are very hard to keep. They weigh a lot and are heavy and burdensome. Secrets are often the beginning of lies. One lie breeds another. The liars attract liars. This is the nature of lies. On your world, power has not been shared as energy. It has been held in secrecy and based on lies. We ask you to consider that those in position of power are really magicians of energy, whether they are self-willed, self-proclaimed, or in total ignorance. Leaders are jugglers of energy, and knowing this, we ask each of you now to juggle your own energy, to know the energy is free and around you, waiting for you to direct it. You are conductors of magnificent symphony of creation that will outperform everything that has ever been staged. The ancient ones, the dragons, wait. They wait to be discovered, to return to the earth, to reveal what they know without harming you. But you must create the frequency within yourself to see them, to assist them to heal whatever schisms they have in their own family line. It is not only you who must heal yourself. All existence is looking to be reconnected. What is healing, and how do you know when you are healed? A flow of energy accompanies a healing, like a goose with a golden egg. This flow of energy fills you with the confidence and faith to move forwards. It is the connection to what you call spirit, a connection to all of existence. The healing, as you have mentioned, is reinterpreting what you believe happened to you. Your wounds start because of how you feel, and because you hold such strong feelings, you have become afraid of your feelings. Your feelings are where you keep yourself as prisoners. Suppressed feelings build the accumulation like a ball of yarn. They can block the flow of energy in your being, and sometimes the ball needs to be unraveled, rewoven into meaningful patterns rather than blocking the flow. Energy is energy. It responds to your intent and to electrical impulses. Your power will grow rapidly as Earth gives her magnetic sigh, as magnetic fields lessen its grip. The elements in your periodic table begin to jiggle and dance, and molecules begin to speed up, opening new paradigms of experience to be discovered. Now that you have scaled the peaks, you know you must manage energy in order to design your future. We see various probable futures. Time jumpers are very aware of that. At this point of time, a number of probabilities spring from the Earth, many based on great multiplications and control. However, those darkened out areas and corridors where time jumpers cannot enter, only you who live there can use your golden opportunity to build the bridge, building it perhaps beyond the mere span of an age. From the peaks you can see what you have much more to consider. Take it easy on this journey, knowing you will always learn more, and that the more you learn, the more there is to learn. Be humble and give thanks as the force of existence responds to your gratitude. So does that all make sense to you? Like what I'm reading, are you really integrating, making sense of it?